Hey, you remember in my Max Payne 2 video when I said there was another game that I was playing? Well, that game is a little known game called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. And I gotta be upfront, I kinda hate this game. I even kinda didn't finish it because I rage quit. I will acknowledge that it was very innovative for its time. That's the main reason I can think of why it didn't fail at launch. It really didn't age well, I'm telling you. I think one of the reasons I ended up hating the game were the controls. They're really weird. It's like an alien with a smooth brain tried to make a game for humans. The scroll wheel controls how fast you walk or run. Space is to interact with some things and tab is to interact with other things. I honestly can't tell you when either is used. Shift is to jump, and as far as I can tell, the right mouse button doesn't do anything. And the left mouse button only does anything if you select equipment from the inventory, which you open up by holding Alt. In order to aim your gun or anything you're holding, you have to press E first and then the left mouse button. The controls absolutely suck, mostly the whole jump not being space and interact not being E thing. That's about it for the controls though. The bigger problem is that the systems that the game has stack on top of the bad control scheme to make the game even more annoying. The game features a visibility system, which means that if you are in the dark, you are harder to see, and if you're in the light, you're easier to see. The game also features a sound system, I guess that's what I should call it. Supposedly how fast you walk, as well as on what type of surface you walk on, will vary the chance that you'll be heard by enemies. The problem is that these systems don't completely work. I mean, the visibility system kind of works, but only because there is a meter at the bottom right of the screen that tells you how visible you are. However, if you're too focused on the game and don't look at the meter, it's hard to tell what areas are considered dark, as well as where the darkness is sometimes, because I'm pretty sure the light is baked into most of the textures. Similarly, it's kind of hard to figure out where the enemies are supposed to be looking. The NPCs can also seemingly see forever. They must have like 20/20 vision or something. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but paired with not knowing where they are looking, it's pretty frustrating. The sound system doesn't work because I can never tell what is considered loud and what is considered quiet. I get the whole some surfaces are louder than other surfaces thing, but if I'm crouch walking around the corner from a guard, they should not be able to hear me and come investigate. So besides the systems and the controls, what else is wrong with the game? Well, there are some levels that have geometry that simply don't work properly. For example, on the level I stopped playing on, a level set on an oil rig. At the beginning there's a platform that if you step on, it pushes you into a wall, and you're kind of stuck. And then directly after that there's a zip line that leads to a platform that you can't land on, and instead you bounce off of it and die in the water. You know what? I'm gonna take you through the oil rig level that I played so that you understand what I went through, so that you understand the trauma and the pain that I went through. Alright, so after the zipline, nothing bad happens for a bit. You go through a pipe and you get a new objective to tail this technician guy. You know, normal spy stuff. Once you get past the finicky ladders, you drop on a guy to knock him out and continue trailing the technician. For me, I ended up getting spotted by a man around the corner. So I reloaded, got spotted again randomly, so I reloaded again. I fall off of the ladder twice and knock the guy out again, and I get to where I was before. I'm told that I need to hurry up or I'm going to lose the technician, so I try to rush, run into that guy again, and try to hide, but he spots me. I shoot him in the head 2 times to kill him, because why not? And I go around the corner, see a light, and try to shoot it out. I guess I didn't do it properly because I missed, and then the guy from around the corner shouts, "Who's there?" So I reload again. This time I thought, is the right way to go through the fire? So I went through the fire and I died immediately. I reload, go through the whole thing again, and don't get spotted. I trail the technician and I come to a door with 2 guards. I grab a bottle and throw it near the guards, and it doesn't attract either of them. I reload, I tried simply shooting the guards instead, and I get caught, and I reload my save again. I grab the bottle again and I get caught while throwing it. I reload, grab the bottle, almost get spotted while throwing the bottle again, but I don't. I lure guard 1 while guard 2 is coming around the corner, and I fuck everything up. But I managed to kill them. Alright, I'm in. But I don't know where I am. Once I'm in, a guard and the technician come around the corner, walking towards me, and I realize I'm gonna get seen, so I reload my save again. I get spotted, and for some reason the mission fails. I have no clue why, I still don't know. So I reload, I do everything again, but this time I wait outside the door so that the technician and the guards can walk by. I finally get into this place, and I find a health pack. That's it. A single health pack, and then I don't know what to do. I walk around for a while because I don't know where I'm going, and in the process, I shoot a light and miss a bunch, which isn't really part of anything, I just thought it was kind of funny. I end up finding out that I can walk by the fire that's down the hall. I couldn't walk through the fire before, so I didn't even bother checking here, but I guess that's what I had to do. Then it gets boring for a while, the technician runs off and I have to take care of one of his guards, but I'll skip all of that. And I end up walking up these stairs, and a cutscene plays that shows that American forces started attacking this oil rig. I walk up the stairs and there's this guy who's just running back and forth, and he ends up catching me. I reload, I get past this guy, and I go downstairs, alright? Down the stairs this time, right? There's this guard who's shooting down a hallway, so I figure he won't see me. I walk down the stairs and he sees me. I reload my save, I'm back on the stairs that I was going up, and I try to run past the guy who's running back and forth again. He sees me. I reload, and here I ended up rage quitting. The whole thing was less than bearable. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the story. The story is a something something espionage, something something don't get caught, blah blah blah, dead spies. I don't really care, to be honest. The main focus is the gameplay for me, but I ended up hating it. That's about it though, and this means that I'm gonna move on to my next game. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Okay, alright. So a couple months have passed since I recorded the footage and voiceover for the first half of the video. This is mostly because the game that I wanted to review, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, keeps crashing at the same place every time, and I could not be bothered to fix it. So after trying that game, I wanted to visit a game that is both very nostalgic, but also kind of very distant memory for me. It's called Shank. But the problem is that I couldn't find a full version of Shank. I could only find the demo. The thing is that I thought Shank was a PS3 exclusive, so I was emulating the PS3 to play it, and there were no full emulations for the game, but stupid me couldn't be bothered to check Steam where it's listed for $10. So I bought the game, installed it, and that brings us to now. So I wanted to love this game. I really did. I mean, at best I ended up liking it. The game is obviously outdated by today's standards, but it was made in 2010, so... It was developed by Clay Entertainment, a studio that's now known for Don't Starve, Mark of the Ninja, and Oxygen Not Included. So I would say their specialty is not exactly hack and slash games, but they seem to have a varied portfolio. Let's get into the story. Spoiler warning. So basically, there's this guy named Shank, right? And he now get this, he uses shanks to stab people. He's a man searching for the people who killed his wife, girlfriend, sister, woman. They never really say what she is, but obviously she was important to him. The woman's name is Ava, by the way. And these people who killed this woman are obviously from a gang that Shank used to be a part of. So it's like a Kill Bill situation. I don't know, the story wasn't really the focus of the game because they don't really explain the backstory to why Ava was supposed to be killed. Also, the demo has a different backstory to the game, which makes sense, I guess. I mean, I bet Shank was still in development when they released the demo. Also, they would probably want to, like, change the story of the demo to the game to make the demo make more sense or something like that. Let's get on to the gameplay. This is the part that made me not love the game, unfortunately. I mean, the game has interesting looks and a decent beat-em-up foundation, but the enemies and set pieces end up ruining it. Also, the game has a number of bosses and they all have different ways to beat them, I guess. But how the bosses work feel outdated. Not the bosses themselves, but how the bosses work. I do not think that bosses are an outdated concept, but these bosses feel outdated. Because once you find the way to kill them, you do that 2 more times and then you're done. You beat the boss. They feel less difficult than the regular enemies, and that's only because the regular enemies stack up and gang up on you. Speaking of the enemies, there are some that I absolutely hate with a passion. Enemies like this big buff guy, this big buff guy, this big buff guy, and Machete Man. I mostly hate these guys because they're a bitch to deal with when there are more than one other enemy in the group that you're fighting. There are some enemies that spam the same moves over and over again, probably because they only have 1 or 2, and you have to end up doing the same thing to get rid of them. There are 3 different hit types that you can use in the game. There's a regular attack, which are your shanks, a heavy attack, and a gun. The heavy attack and the gun changes, but the shanks stay with you the whole time. For the heavy attack, you start off with a chainsaw, and then you get machetes, and then you get chains, and finally a katana. For the gun, you start off with dual pistols, then you get a shotgun, then an Uzi, and I think that's it. The concept of it is cool, like the different weapons being used by one person, but I don't know, there's just something about the switching between the weapons that takes too long or something. I don't know, I'm kind of theorizing with that, but there is something else that I know the game does that makes it frustrating. That is, if you press a button, the game stores that input until the current action ends, and then does the action dictated by the previous input. So what I mean is that if I want to use my chainsaw, but a guy starts charging me mid-chainsaw hit, the game needs me to finish the chainsaw swing before I can block. So I would end up getting hit instead of blocking when I wanted to. This ended up really pissing me off and kind of ruining the gameplay for me a bit. Also, there are these set pieces that involve things coming out of the sky. One of them was fine, but 2 of them were insufferable. The one that I could endure was a part where there are grenades coming out of the sky because there's some big buff guy somewhere with a grenade launcher trying to kill you. This was fine because grenades take a couple of seconds to explode, so you can dodge them, you know? But one of the other 2 had missiles coming out of the air, which explode on impact, so that's pretty annoying when they hit you, and they would hit me often. The other one was in a cave that was collapsing, and rocks are falling from the ceiling, and they ended up killing me a dozen times because they would fall down and I would be mid-jump, and it would cancel out my jump, and I would just fall. As for the ending of the game, it was not very satisfying. I mean, the game is built on the concept that you are tracking down and killing people who did you wrong in the past, and throughout the entire game there is no doubt that Shank will be able to do that. You go to a place, kill 23, maybe even 24 people, and then fight a boss, and then go to the next place. The story was never really the focus, it was just a way to justify what happens in the game. And that's the end of Retro Reviews. Overall, I had a decent time playing everything but Splinter Cell. I would give Splinter Cell 0 night vision goggles out of 5, and I would give Shank 3.5 bullet casings out of 5.